collaborate with the band house orchestra. So for the work we will do Resonate Opus 2, and in this project they invited me to produce visual and sound works and to collaborate with them. And in this project I will do visual works that reflects and interprets the composition that they'll be playing. And I find this super exciting because it is my first time to collaborate with an orchestra, and of course it's also challenging for me as a visual artist to translate the musical works, the avant-garde work that they'll be playing. So I'm looking forward to it.
We are in the studio of Maria Waszuk. She has been artist in residence in LIA for almost 3 months, and these are her last 2 weeks now in the residency program. And I would like to ask Maria a few questions about her time here in Leipzig. So, what were your experiences while you were living here and working in the Spinnerei?
I really enjoyed my time here, and I really enjoy meeting people from different countries and live together and create art together. And I also like Spinnerei a lot, and here is a lot of figurative painters, which is very special, and I like the atmosphere of Spinnerei and of LIA program in general. It's very friendly, and yeah, I felt at home here.
Wonderful. You are actually Ukrainian. You come from Kiev. You moved to the Netherlands, where you have been living for 8 years now, and now you moved to Leipzig. Do you feel, are there any cultural differences between these 3 places?
First, when I moved to the Netherlands, I didn't really felt much difference, except for that in the Netherlands there is more kind of structure in society and structure in country in general, and in Ukraine it's more chaotic. It's the only difference I felt, I think. And when I came here to Leipzig, it reminded me Kiev a lot, and I didn't really realize why. But then, I don't know, there is some spirit that is similar as in Kiev, and feels for me quite, free here. And quite quiet.
It's funny, you know, Kiev, Leipzig are partner cities, and it's the longest sister city partnership exchange Leipzig has.
Okay.
It will be 60 years this year, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big jubilee,
Yeah.
and I think there are some similarities. As we have also been working with quite some Ukrainians at the beginning of the program. Maria, in your work practice, you like to stage your paintings. You're working with environments and with people. And it reminded me actually a little bit of Francesco de Goya setting up his big royal family portraits. And would you like to speak a little bit about how you stage your work and what your work process is like?
Yes, first I get an idea of what I want to paint, and then I ask people to pose for me. And usually I paint my family or some people I know, some friends. But here in LIA I was painting people who lived with me, because we are kind of one household here during the lockdown. And we lived together, and I wanted to make a painting in my LIA studio here, so I wanted to include environment of the LIA studio. And first I painted kind of decorations of the wall. So I painted some works that are related to my home situation. And then I included these paintings into my next painting with people from LIA. So I usually ask people to pose for me, and sometimes I ask them what to wear. And I really like all these patterns and to paint clothes and how it all goes together.
Yeah, we have Harit here from Thailand, and Sam from New Zealand, Hario from Indonesia, and then our Krakow residents, Cyril and Martina, and then there is Marina here, our new coordinator from Madrid. So it's quite an international setting.
Yeah.
If we just think that we just have a lockdown, we're a big international family still.
Yeah.
Maria, you will have a show coming up very soon in February in Haarlem.
Yeah.
Please, could you tell something about this show, please?
Yes, I will have a solo exhibition in Gallery Kruisweg 68. It's in Haarlem, and I want to show my works which I did during the lockdown period in the Netherlands, and also a work which I did in LIA, so family portrait, I hope.
Yeah. Will there be a big difference between the work you did in the lockdown in the Netherlands and now here at the international residency?
Yeah, there will be kind of interaction between those work and work I did here. Yeah. And yeah, of course there will be differences, and I never painted so many people as I painted here, and I never painted so big as I could paint in this studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel there's a big sense of community in all of your works here. And well, we're very eager and very happy to hear more about the show in February. And good luck for the opening. And thank you very much for the interview, Maria.
Thank you, Anna.
Welcome to the studio of Meta Melita from Jakarta, from Indonesia. You are currently part of our Pacific Goethe Institute exchange, and you have been staying here almost 3 months and working here in Leipzig. What is your overall impression of the city?
Oh, for the first time.
Yes.
I
Funny or
yeah, it's like it's so interesting for me because when I walking, I always see young parents, and it's like my daily life.
Yeah.
It's like close to me.
Yeah.
And when look kids in the playground, and yeah, it's so fun and beautiful view for me.
Yeah, Leipzig is a very young city.
Yeah.
It has a lot of families. I remember you told me you saw a lot of fathers pushing the trolley or carrying the baby around. That was your first impression, was it?
Yeah, actually, yes. It's so interesting for me, like because they have a young father, have much spend time for taking care of baby, or like just playing together in like every weekend or in the afternoon. I am working.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, we talked about that too, that there are special benefits you have here in Germany. Being a father or mother, you can take Elternzeit, so that you will receive money to have this liberty. You could see that in the public space, that it might be very different from your home.
Yeah, it's like in my home, usually parents like mother always dominate in home, like take care of baby, domestic, and father always working and have like a little bit time in the weekend. For, it's different. That's why I'm so interested about.
Yeah, the space is divided differently here than in your home country, in Indonesia. And family plays an important role in your work as well. Could you tell me a little bit more about your family situation regarding this piece of work?
Okay. Actually, I always working about my personal experience as a mother, as a wife, as a child. And this is like my first work. Actually, the big issue about a broken home. And I invite my family to join and writing memories, family, which is it is about my family because my parents divorced when I 2 years old. That's why I didn't have much memory with my family. And I'm invited, and my mother and my grandmother and my auntie also to know about what they reminds me when I was a child. And then they are writing on the paper, and then I'm tracing on the fabric and I'm sewing. They talk about memories about me actually. This is my parents' wedding photo, and it's like participatory about collecting memory.
So your grandma and your mother they were talking about your history while they were actually sewing.
I'm showing the memory.
Now you're sewing your memory back together. So textile as a material and the sewing process is a very important part in your work as technically you're working with these materials. And you also told me about the writing here. These are specific songs which are given to growing up babies or to born babies.
It's true. It's like
it's a custom.
When I have kids, it's like I'm learning with my memories before and what about how to take a baby and like what my mother experienced, what my grandmother experienced. It's always.
And also these songs here, they are sung to kids when they're born to protect them. Is that true? There are some special.
This is one. Azan. Azan. This is important for Muslim because about when baby born, the father always calling Azan in ear. It's like becoming Muslim. But I didn't have because my father gone. And then I have. This is important because I have Azan, but with another good man.
But not your father. So you're trying to fill in the gap, avoid with this exhibition.
And it's like combination or unity about family when they divorce.
Let's walk. Let's walk through your space. It has been your home and your studio.
Yes, true. And this is after I always work with hand stitching. It's like exploration technique. Actually, when pandemic situation, stay home and always blah 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 blah, so crowded, chaos, and I really need something for making quickly or exploration technique. And then my husband give me a sewing machine, and actually this is like exploration. After handwriting, hand sewing, and then.
So you have done those with a machine, which you also have had here to work with. And how
how did it feel living in an international environment here with all these colleagues, Caroline from Copenhagen, Atli from Iceland, Theo from Borneo, and Juliana from Kiev. How did it feel having your own Zimmer here, your own room? But at the same time, it's not fully private. I mean, you're part of a bigger collective. How did this feel to you?
Oh, it's it feels like actually new, new for me. Everything is new. But it's because we have much time together. Slowly, the intimate. We have a moment, and then
Cooking, eating.
eating, and then cleaning.
Yes,
and,
of course.
Spend time walking on the canal together.
Yeah.
Chit chat. It's good, and it's so memorable for me. And like, I have like a new family.
Yes.
Here. It feels like have family.
Yeah.
Because they always give me a moment like, oh yeah, I learn about how to especially talking English very much and
Yes.
learning very well, and then the person one by one character. Yeah, it's this is life, because in Indonesia I always stay at home and like blah blah, and like just my husband, my kids always, because before we always going to somewhere meet new people, new person, and yeah, like here really like feels like, oh, this is life, normal life.
Yeah. And you have the possibility to discuss,
Talk about
issues, have different people and perspectives.
And give a feedback about artwork, about idea, about technique, about everything. And we always open-minded about everything. It's nice. It's wonderful memories for me. Moment.
Well, you also gave us a beautiful gift. You took us to Kassel, to
Lulu house.
Lulu house, and you also showed us your world and your people you were living, you're working with, your husband is working with, and opened a perspective for us in a very open-minded conversation with Spinnerei, the documentary artistic director, and who was welcoming us like we welcomed you in our home, and he welcomed us in his home because of you. So thank you for this special invitation.
But actually they always like this to meet everyone. Not because me, but they always sweet. Always like that.
Was also special to us. For this. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for giving me for opportunity to go into Leipzig and make me feel like I have studio. I have much time for thinking about the work. Have a new family. Have a good opportunity. And open-minded for everything.
Wonderful. That's how it should be.
So my different experiences of being here in Leipzig, this is the longest period I've been here. the first one was for a month, the second one was for 2 months, and this time it's 5 months. It's been, I think if I would describe anything, I mean, Leipzig is one thing, being a part of Leipzig and being a part of the larger Saxony is one thing, but I think for me the experience has also been a lot about being in LIA and the different groups of people that I've experienced and met during that period of time here. So my project, my artistic project has been based on one, my social environment, but also two, who I came into contact and how that developed. And they were very different experiences and very surprising in some way. I mean, I was really, the last time when I came, I was really surprised by how open an environment it was, in the sense that everything that I seemed to try to do seemed to work. So I had these wonderful experiences of museums kind of opening up to me and being open to participating in my project, which I don't think I would have experienced anywhere else. Or I haven't experienced in the short amount of time anywhere else. The one example is with Terra Mineralia, where I was supposed to work with another institution in Leipzig, and then I came there and the man said, no, we're not going to do the recording today. And I had like a week and a half left, and he said, you must go to Freiberg. And I had no idea where Freiberg was, but he said, you must drive to Freiberg, it's an hour and a half away. And I was like, okay. And what do I do when I get to Freiberg? Well, do I talk to the director? What do I do? How do I go about it? He was like, no, you just talk to the people on the ground personnel. That's how we do it here in Saxony. We do not have these power systems. I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it your way. And fair enough, that's exactly what happened. And a week later, I was already filming in the museum and filming some of the objects, and yeah, so it was the fastest turnaround I've ever had, ever. So how can one not be open to that type of participation? You do something and people are actually reacting. Yeah.
So, yeah, in relation to these experiences you had, could you talk about a bit about your work and why you did it and the contents of it?
Well, I mean, I think an important part in my work has always been trying to make connecting different histories together and connecting different positions and thoughts and different perspectives together, so that they're not separate in different locations, but that they actually become some kind of uniformed groundwork in which to portray them or to discuss. I had been in Australia to do a project, which Australia is not my own culture. I'm coming from a Jamaican background. But I wanted to connect this project with these collections that are both in Terra Mineralia and in Gracie Museum. And I wanted to look at the Terra Mineralia in regards to their minerals and all the minerals that are taken been taken out of Australia, and connect that to their thoughts and their perspectives of where these minerals are coming from, and as well as the cultures that they are attached to. So the project is titled Mineral Emissaries, which in itself is talking about that these stones in actuality become ambassadors for these cultures, or for this culture, which is a multiplicity of different cultures within the culture, but I would talk about, I'm looking at also the connections that in the previous film which I made, which was called In the Deep Underground and Up Above, which was about the histories connected to land and to caves and to being these different layers of positions within a societal makeup. So within, you know, what are the histories that have sort of created the schisms and the problems and the discussions that arise out of being a post-colonial country such as Australia? And how do people relate to that, but also how have their lives been affected by it? And so this is one perspective, but I also want to connect it back to perspectives of people from here and how they are looking at these objects or minerals or entities of culture. How are they relating to Australia? Or are they relating to Australia? Or are they relating to the stone itself? Or how do they look at the minerals? And in what way do they work with them? And also looking at their connections to caves, since mining is done in most caving, and fiber is a huge cave mining industry, which it was, I mean, basically the whole museum and institution was built up on it. So it does have a kind of history also in regards to mining, and also looking at the environmental impact that it will have upon the society, but also their community. So they have their juxtapositions that they can be related to. Yeah.
Okay, so your work is always entwined with the places you work in. So what can you say about working in Leipzig and its relation to the people in this city towards your work?
Well, I think it depends on the sense of that when I have sort of, for instance, with Gracie Museum, I started working with Birgit, who's the curator for the Australian collection. And then it becomes sort of like investigating also her life story, investigating how did she start doing what she's doing and why is she interested in doing what she's doing. And it's also tied in every way to her history as well, also back to DDR and what it was like to be a curator at that time. What did it mean to look at other cultures at that time? And since you weren't allowed to travel, I found it bizarre from my point of view to be curator of a collection, but of a collection that you'd never traveled to that country before. And then later on, she began working and developing her contacts and her relationships with different groups of people in specific areas in Australia. And then also, how did that open her mindset or her evaluation or thinking about these other cultures? And how has it influenced also the way that she reflects on what she's doing? One of the things that are the most important things that she's working on is reparations, and which is a very heavy subject area, where she's looking at the large collection of human remains which still exist within the Gracie Museum, and which is about approximately, it started out as a collection of 6,000 human beings that still needed to be returned to their respective families. And how do you go about doing such a thing in a proper way? First of all, it's not a funny situation to be in, and how do you address that contentious space, which it is? How do you give some kind of morality or some kind of peace to the families? One is that she uses forensic medicine as a way to find out what happened to these people and how did they arise in the museum. The other is that she uses archives, and it's a combination of different methods. And then once you find out the history of the journey of this, or the passage of this individual, then you also have to think about how do you bring people into this museum in a way which also will be respective of their own cultural values and ethics and thoughts. So it is it's probably one of the heaviest issues you can deal with, probably as a curator of such a collection. And so it demands a certain type of person and a certain type of ethical character to do so.
Okay, perfect. And the last thing is, have you been working here in the Spinnerei, and how does that affect your work? By being, I don't know, surrounded by artist studios and a very vibrant and dedicated to arts environment.
Well, I think that the wonderful thing is to be in an artistic environment where you're actually having a relationship to the people that you're working alongside. So you're also seeing the developments of other people's work. And I mean, it's also changing because, of course, I've been here for a while, so different types of people come in. So you have the painter group. I call it the painter group because then it becomes, I could feel like in the beginning everybody was a painter, and so there was a kind of a, it becomes this, I'm fighting against other forms of art. So I had to deal with where the second group was different. It changed and it became more photographic, sculptural, and therefore it didn't become a part, it wasn't a discussion about what type of subject area you worked with or what kind of medium you worked with, but more of the content of the work. Yeah, it influenced me in terms of color and palettes and, the way that people are working visually, light, darkness. Yeah. But how does it influence you? I don't know. I think the thing is that you having an enormous amount of space and time to sort of really experiment with certain methods that possibly you can't experiment in my home place because I don't have that big a studio, makes it easier to sort of contemplate a method for a longer process and a longer period of time. You're not cleaning up all the time, but you actually can work through an idea.
Okay, very last question. And why do you think that an organization like LIA is beneficial to people like you?
It is beneficial in the sense of, for people like me, is that, well, there's a lot of, there are different things that came out of the experience that I felt was really well done this time, was that I felt that I really had a lot more curatorial critiques, which were really beneficial and really meaningful for me, in the sense of people use time to really sort of put themselves into my work and to talk about it and to discuss so I think without LIA, I would never have come in contact with these people. That's one. Two, being able to, there's a lot done to make, even though I wasn't participant in all of the activities, there's a lot of activities done to make artists aware of their environment and aware of the different artistic shows and things that are possibilities that are there. And you have a great group of staff who are friendly and nice and warm and willing to take on all kinds of issues no matter what. So yes, it's a home environment, and I think that for an artist can be a really nice aspect, to be away from home, but be also in a place where it feels familiar.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, and good luck.